Hello from Kensington Security Consulting, where we bring education to national security. Our next book, Cauldron of Terror, Hamas, Israel, and the World, will be available in 2026, and I'm very excited about it. The book will deal with Hamas, Israel, and the October 7th, 2023 mass murder. And in today's episode, we're going to take a look about Germany, and particularly Mutti Merkel, or Angela Merkel, the former Chancellor of Germany. And we're going to talk about an award bestowed upon Angela Merkel, who opened her country to mass migration of Middle Easterners, who created new lives in Germany. Some of these lives were prosperous and independent of government assistance, and others were not. Angela Merkel cast open the doors of Germany to millions of Muslim Middle Easterners under the cry, "We can do it." She and other Germans were wildly optimistic that the European economic powerhouse, Germany, could absorb and sufficiently assimilate the new throngs of Muslims. Germany would provide the startup cost for the lives of the new Germans, as they were called, which would be a pool of much needed labor. Good so far, but how did this work out? And this is where the big debate begins. Some of the new Germans have done very, very well as other immigrants to the country, Eastern European often, Southern European sometimes. Many have availed themselves of the generous welfare systems Germans have boasted about since Bismarck, including heavily subsidized housings, free medical care, free education, including vocational training, family allowances, unemployment benefits, and even more. Okay, so some of them took advantage of these opportunities to further themselves and develop themselves and build the skills necessary to leave the roles of the welfare lines and obtain full-time employment. Okay. But there are many, many others who are not eager to shed their dependence on government benefits. Official statistics paint a more troubling picture for this cohort. They are content to receive just enough assistance to subsist. Okay. They spend their days in cultural isolation within the ever-expanding Islamic areas of large cities. Muslim immigrants are significantly overrepresented in German crime statistics, including street robberies, home burglaries, and drug trafficking. And then there is sexual assault and rape. Muslims make up to 7% of the population in Germany, but 30% of the prison population. In youth detention facilities in Germany, Muslims make up to 50% of the inmates. Wow. Well, last month, the European Parliament inducted Angela Merkel into the European Order of Merit as a distinguished member. With this distinction, she stands alongside Ukrainian President Zelensky and former Polish freedom fighter Lech Wałęsa. The award purportedly recognizes contributions to European integration, and this is key, and defense of shared values. This is the exact wording, quote, "The European Order of Merit was established on the 75th anniversary of the Schuman Declaration in 2025 to honor individuals who have significantly advanced European integration, promoted democracy, human rights, and peace, and defended European values during times of uncertainty," unquote. Well, I, for one, think that these achievements are dubious in the case of Angela Merkel. Let's go point by point as they relate exclusively to Muslim, non-Muslim relations in Germany. Then you can decide. Number one, advances European integration. Did Merkel advance Germany's integration into Europe by inviting millions of Muslims to become new Germans? Well, it is clear to me that she and her successor did not press for Muslim integration into German culture. And if they did make any meaningful demands upon the Muslim communities to become more German, they failed miserably. Aren't Muslims part of Europe? Some certainly integrated and made valued contributions to German society. I'd concede that, certainly. But if German official educational, social, and criminal records are accurate, these efforts have been overwhelming failures. I don't see the achievement there. Let's go to number 2, to promote democracy. I do not see how bringing millions of Muslims promoted democracy in Germany or anywhere else in Europe. Islamic law or Sharia is antithetical to democracy. It devalues the individual and the consensual government and extols submission to Allah as expressed in sacred texts. If most Muslims had cast Sharia aside and embraced democracy, then Merkel would certainly have accomplished something remarkable. I have no evidence that any of this happened. I have no evidence that Muslims strayed from their faith after arriving in Germany. Rather, I think that her tenure was marked by ethnic fragmentation, cultural erosion, and a demographic shift. These are not the hallmarks of democracy. Number 3, promote human rights. How did the migration promote human rights? It promoted the application of Islamic law in Germany. It created a voting bloc and a constituency for politicians. Women are human. Don't they have rights? Did it really promote the rights of women and girls? Did it promote free speech? Did it promote the right to draw religious cartoons? If those cartoons are about Mohammed? On New Year's Eve, 2025 in Cologne, 1,200 criminal complaints were filed against sex pets. The sex pests were North Africans and Mideasterners. Police reports claim that these pests surrounded, groped, robbed, and harassed women. The situation is even worse in Britain. 4, peace. Have the new Germans promoted internal and external peace? By my account, the Germans haven't been a threat to anybody in the international system since May 1945. Yeah, they learned their lesson. Germans seems to have lost their militarism and their national pride. Well, I think that as most Europeans think it's a good thing that they're not militants or Prussians anymore, but what about an internal peace in Germany? Are the lives of Germans more peaceful as a result of the Chancellor's efforts? I don't think so. Number 5. Well, that certainly depends on what those European values are. European values is a broad term, and they have certainly changed over the centuries from the fall of Rome until the Enlightenment. European values were largely defined by Christianity, monarchy, royalty, and then it came to democratic rule, liberalization, science, things like that. And there has been a growing trend towards secularization, and today certainly democratic values. Now, there was a big halt with fascism, National Socialism, and communism. I think it's hard to make a case that these are still European values. The continent has been washed clean of most of them. However, the European Union has a charter that extols the humanist foundations of Western civilization. So I think that Jonathan Turley, the legal scholar, is very insightful. These are his words. She, Merkel, is blamed for opening up the borders to a flood of undocumented immigrants that caused rioting, rising violence, protests throughout Europe. However, in his view, her crowning achievement was the crackdown on free speech. She has increased the power of the government, stripped away free speech rights, and reduced national identities without firing a shot. Well, if those are European values, she certainly deserves the prize. And this honor should have been taken seriously. There are more than 40 million Muslims in Europe. The numbers are swelling and will grow and grow. And the European numbers will certainly decline because of low fertility and emigration of the most productive elements of European societies. Some Muslims are being integrated, and more will enter the mainstream of European society, but many, very, very many, likely will not. They will instead bulge the ranks of the unemployed, underemployed, and drain national treasuries. And then there is the rise in crime. As for Europe in 20 years, well, Muhammad said, quote, the Prophet Muhammad, Islam is to dominate and not be dominated, unquote. What is most morbidly humorous to me is the claim in the citation of Angela Merkel that one of Merkel's crowning achievements was the handling of the refugee influx. I'd like to hear more about that. Now, I covered all these issues in Jihad and the West, Black Flag Over Babylon. That's a book that came out 10 years ago. It's still available, and much of it you will find is still relevant. I'd like to know your opinion on that. Now, thank you for listening. Nothing in this podcast reflects the official position of the United States government. Until next week, thank you for listening. Out here.